What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be having a look at T-side on Overpass, some common defaults, and how to effectively take map control in the current meta. So we're going to be defining our defaults by our starting positions, and the first one we're going to take a look at is one player in mid, two players connector, and two players starting towards B. Now, a common theme in these defaults is the areas of the map that we're looking to take control of. And the most important is mid, connector, and short. This area of the map is important because once we have taken control of it, we can decisively execute on either side and quickly switch between the different sides of the map. It also is going to obscure info for the CTs, and it will push them back to holding site, and they won't really have a good grasp of where the final execution is going to be. So, starting off, we have our two players heading towards B, and the first player is going to throw a Molotov. That's going to land on the CT entrance to short to stop any early aggression towards B water or short water. And they'll quickly follow this Molotov by wrapping through the tunnels. Now, the supportive player on B can line up some flashes to help clear short water, and also to clear, this kind of cubby on short where CTs could potentially be playing. Just bear in mind that during this, the CTs are likely to throw a smoke here on Monster, and possibly a defensive Molotov to stop our first player from making quick progress towards short. So they can either wait out the Molotov or smoke it off and push through. Now we have two players in connector. By this point, they've already made progress up, thrown a Molotov to block early CT aggression peeking down connector, because that's a really bad fight to take for the Ts, because you can just get kind of stuck in the middle of no man's land here in this corridor. So it's a good idea to molly this off. And once you kind of press forward, the second player can bounce Molotov off the wall and burn out the second set of stairs, meaning you can comfortably take space here kind of towards the bottom of connector. And then from there you can bounce nades off here and flashbangs as well to clear it thoroughly, especially if you're coming against CTs that are on a low buy or force. They might end up stacking connector with more players, so it's important to be aware about using our nades in this kind of tight space. That's where we can make the best use of them. And then our mid player, since we only have one player in mid, they're gonna kind of be playing a bit more passive here, more of a supportive element for the connector players, so they're likely to be smoked off and mollied off on playground. So you could either smoke the Molotov and push through, clearing close long and mid, especially this box here. This box is an important place to clear as a terrorist because it's a really strong position. Or this mid player can sit back in this corner, sitting behind two smokes, pretty safe place, and then communicating with their connector players when they're about to advance to top con you can throw out a Molotov. That lands here, burning off this box. Which is probably the most dangerous angle for the it's the initial angle, right, that the connector players are going to be spotting. So if that's already cleared out and they don't see any one party, then they can just full focus here. As by this point, you can have pushed here to watch for any long flank. So that pretty much sums up the initial space taking of the round. And from this point, we can use any info we've gathered or any kills to help us decide what the end goal is. So let's have a little talk about the finish towards A site from this position. So our supportive B player, after he's thrown his flashes, can simply make his way towards mid to join up with our initial mid player. And they can then join up with the two con players. The two con players will have gotten a bit more space at this point, so they're kind of making progress up banana. So we have two players here, and then two players here who can then clear toilets, and then either go back and have a 4-man setup on banana for an execute on A, or they can split long, and you can have two players on long, two players banana, and then we have our lurk presence on short, who can, you can either throw some fake out utility, you can wait to wrap CT and flank the CTs, or he can choose to, take a long route back around or go up through con to then have a 5-man execute. So then you could have 2 or 3 people, perhaps long, or 2 or 3 people on banana. You can throw execute smokes and molotovs from either long or banana. So you can throw a smoke that's going to land by CT stairs, garbage, whatever you want to call it, and molotovs out to truck. As well as, there's a bunch of different spots to throw these smokes from. So you could also throw a smoke from here to bank, or you can throw it from back here as well. And then molotovs bouncing off here, off this van, to burn out dice. For a full execute. And of course you can, as you're running up, you can kind of flash, can't you, over here. Same applies for banana. If you're staging from banana, exact same smokes can come out. And the exact same molotovs. These are your standard execute utility. With flashbangs also going over this direction.
I'm throwing a flashbang. Throwing a flashbang.
Okay, so for the next default, we're going to have a 3-man start towards B, 1 connector and 1 mid. So for this round, we're looking to explode out short with 2 players. 2 players going out short with, the same starting utility, with the Molotov and our flashbangs. And our connector player, who is going to be playing, since he's alone, he's going to be a bit more passive. You can just smoke off stairs here. And just kind of playing around this corner, this area right here. Just looking for any CT aggression. Same thing happening in mid. Smoke some Molotovs. Same as last time, our mid player is just here for info, maybe show some presence as well, with any flashbangs, any utility. As we mentioned before, the Molotov that can go here. And then once B short is taken, our third supportive player on B can wrap back round to connector to help our connector player take control, which is going to time well with the smoke fading. Then you can bounce your Molotov up here and take con as you would usually, with our mid player scouting out for any potential pushes. After it's all clear, our mid player can wrap back round to B to help the execute. So once con's clear and we're checking for any potential flanks coming through, if none of that comes, then you can start to stage your execute from both short and monster. We can throw window heaven smoke from short. As well as you can throw Molotovs to toxic. You can do this from either short or monster. Just kind of depends which player has the Molotov in hand. So you can throw it from back here as well. If you wanted to, you can smoke off here, which helps the short players peek towards sight, which is going to remove the possibility of a CT playing this headshot angle. They have to step a bit further, and even then this Molotov is spreading, so there's not much room for them. For flashes, there's not like set flashes on B like there is on A site. but standard flashes, can come over this side here, or there are certain lineups where you can have the flash blind behind this pillar.
I'm throwing a flashbang. Throwing a flashbang.
You can also throw some nades here if you suspect that they might be playing close short. And hopefully by this point, before the execute, you still have 5 players alive. If you've done a convincing short take and connector take with a successful passive info gathering in mid, then you should be pretty well staged for a B execute, and without the B site even being fully stacked, because of course you have control of connector, so there has to be CTs around the A site for that possibility of going A through con. So that sums it up for our default with a B lean and a B finish. Okay, so now we've covered most of the fundamentals about our Overpass default, and I'm just going to quickly talk about a default that starts with 3 in mid, 1 connector, 1 B. B player starts with the same old Molotov, but this time they're going to be playing more passive around the B site. They're not going to be rushing up short, rather just kind of playing around monster, show your presence, could smoke out this Molotov so that the CTs have to respect that someone could be out short, especially if you've conditioned in previous rounds to be taking short and connector with a bit of haste. So that's always a good idea. Meanwhile, same as in the last default, we have 1 player in connector, so they're going to be a bit more passive, smoking off stairs, kind of playing in this corner of connector, then slowly starting to encroach on the stairs with our 3 players in mid taking fast action. So with the same CT block utility, we're just going to burst through the smoke with 2 players, with our 3rd player throwing supportive flashbangs behind our teammates. To hopefully then take control of party and the entrance to toilets, as well as, the start of banana. And then you can do a split on A site with the 3rd supportive player maybe going long, and then you have 2 players taking control of mid. And then in combination with your connector player, you can take control of con with the help of your teammates out in mid, and then take space in toilets, banana, and further up long. Then from this point, you can either follow like we did in the first default, where we stage an A execute, depending on how the round goes, maybe we take some casualties taking this space, maybe you kill a few CTs as well, trying to defend this area. Meanwhile, our passive B player starts to search for info. They could walk out monster, they could walk out short, and hopefully by this time the CTs are thinking it's going to be an A exec. So maybe 1 or 2 players from B site are going to start scrambling towards A, and our lurker might find a free bomb site, or they might find a kill on a rotating player. And since we have control of connector, we can easily just scoop the bomb up, bring the bomb to B site, or, you know, depending on how the round goes, we continue with the execution. But this is why it's so important to have control over connector and short, so that we can make these quick decisions and, you know, we can beat the pacing of the CTs and catch them off guard. So I hope this video has helped, and hopefully you can understand T-side default on Overpass better. Let me know if you like this format of the mini-maps in combination with the clips of utility. Write it down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.